Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 4th November 2016. The first article, The Siege That Wasn't. Let us see the context of this article. Recently, the Pakistani politician and former cricketer, he has announced for the million march towards Islamabad and seizure of Islamabad. Finally, on the last day, that is on the November 1st, he has withdrew his plans. Now, in these circumstances, in the entire article, I want to drive your mind towards 2 points. What the citizens of Pakistan are expecting, military and its role in day-to-day affairs. How media is glorifying the role of army in civilian affairs in Pakistan. And the second thing is, if a political party has to stand, does it has to be based on events or an ideology? Now today most of the political parties are being just transactional rather than ideological, and they call themselves as pragmatic. So to what extent the negative politics will win over the public faith? These are the questions I need to answer. Now if you see this U-turn of Mr. Imran Khan, it has led to loss of hope for the millions in Islamabad. The reason being is, there are many corruption allegations against the existing government. The Panama Papers scandal and leakage shows that most of the top politicians in Pakistan are involved with offshore assets because of their unaccounted money. The second thing is, whenever a challenge arises in a civilian government, then the people and media, they look towards the army as a stabilizer. So, in any democracy, the rule is, and a military has to work under the civilian government. And in the civilian government, politics has to guide the bureaucracy. But however, it has been popularly criticized that every state has a military, but in Pakistan, military has a state. So there is a overgrown military apparatus. And military and army's legitimacy with the civilian affairs is also increasing. It is due to the role of media and also people's lots of trust with the regular politics of the day. So military as an institution being a power wielder and also as a safeguarder of sovereignty, it enjoys certain respect and legitimacy. But the same power and military is being brought into the day-to-day affairs. Everywhere in the world, it is an example for the suffering of the people and violation of the human rights. Either you take about Myanmar, you talk about Pakistan's own history, this is what is the rule. So, media glorifying the role of the military and militarizing the society, where unquestionable loyalties has to grow towards military, cannot be accepted in a democratic society. But however, Pakistan is being an exception into this, where military is always seen as a stabilizer of the politics. And that's the reason why for almost 2 decades, the Pakistan is under the military rule. And the second is, politics without ideology is a democracy without substance. What I mean is, more and more transactional based politics are growing. So which are based on events rather than ideology. The depth, the roots, the strength of the politics is decreasing. So that is the reason why. So politics have to be centered on an ideology, and politics without ideology, I think, cannot sustain for long. But however, extreme pragmatism and the political will to achieve the results, that is one thing which made a difference in Singapore. Mr. Lee Kuan Yew says that his politics have no ideology, his politics have only one way forward, what does good for the people. Such a pragmatism can be a different thing. So, the politics filled with the nepotism and hypocrisy cannot replace the politics of ideology in any country. The Pakistan is a symbol of this particular change, symbol of this particular pessimism now. Now coming to how to balance our gigs. So let us see this way how the services sector and technology based sector is growing. Initially, the technology is the facilitator for many of the sectors. Now most of the sectors are being driven by the technology. That's why it is called as gig economy or technology driven economy. Now previously banking sector is there. So the technology provided or facilitated the smooth transactions of the banking sector and helped them to handle the volumes. Today, the entire banking sector runs around this technology, or technology drives the banking sector. And then the technological providers, they became the market leaders. Especially it is true with regard to the disruptive technologies. So the Uber, Ola, these are the disruptive technologies. Now, the trade unions and rights of the working class, they themselves have come to question in the technology intensive sectors such as IT. There is no organized labor unions in the IT sector and most of the service sectors. Now, in the case of this gig economy, the situation is much worse. If you take the Uber, the driver in the Uber is being, according to their company, is a self-employed or self-employed, and he is in a contract with Uber. And Uber has no responsibility with regard to his social security, no responsibility with regard to his health or accidental insurance. Uber is just a technology supporter. So in this context, how we have to see the Uber as just a technology company or a company which is selling the rides with drivers as its employers? How we have to fix in this framework the situation of the labor laws? So, if you see them as, or if you see the Uber just as a technology provider and driver as a self-employer, then no trade union laws or labor laws comes into the picture. But if you see the Uber as a producer and is producing the rides, car rides, then obviously we have to see Uber as an employer too, and there comes the union or labor laws for implementation. So here is the challenge. So in India, the minimum wages being very less, the Uber drivers, as they are earning more than that, the question did not arise as of now. But in UK, the court has declared these disruptive applications and the drivers who are working with Uber, etc., shall be the employees and they shall get minimum wages. The company has to ensure the minimum wages for these drivers. And then getting the real on OROP. So one rank, one pension, what does that mean? So according to this, all the military officers who are retiring at a particular rank after particular years of services shall get the same pension. Let's take an officer retires in 1990 after 10 years of service, and another officer retires in 2000 after the same 10 years of service. Both of them shall get the equal pension. As of now, this person gets the pension as on the rates prevailing on that particular time, and this person gets a higher pension compared to the person A. So in this scenario, the government said all the pension will be revised equivalent to one rank, one pension scale. So it means these two people are supposed to get the equal pension. Let us take person A has to keep premature retirement. So instead of serving for 10 years, he has retired on 7 years. So does OROP apply to him according to the central government? No. And the second thing is, it means how many years after we have to revise this? Let's take another person got retired in 2001. So how he has to be brought in parity with other two people? That is the question. So in this scenario, what the government says is this particular payment systems will be revised once in 5 years. The pensioners are asking for its revision on once in annual revision. So what is the important challenge to the government? If it has to be revised annually, it was a huge administrative task. And the second is, military has to remain young. There shall not be any stagnation in the army and armed forces. So, premature retirement, it is not going to make the people eligible for OROP. Then obviously people will wait for these 10 years to get retired so that they get a decent pension. So that is the reason why it goes against the philosophy of the maintenance of young army. So, in these circumstances, a country has to respect its armed forces and the people who fought for the nation. So, one rank, one pension is better when it is quickly implemented. If it is going to take the more lives, then it is going to be more disrepute to the government. And also the discipline of the rank and file in the army is very much important. If it gets disrupted and if the army loses the respect for the civilian government, that is not good for the democracy. Recently, if you see, the army, the military people started questioning a reduction in their ranks in the protocol. In the order of the precedence, they are going down and down, and their pay scales are not on par with the civilian people. So, these are the major things which are leading to dissatisfaction among the armed forces, and the government has to address them aptly. Now, let's get to the perspective page. The Brexit as an opportunity. Now, I will say you is this way. What the Brexit refers to? So, it is a divorce between UK and the European Union. It means that European Union laws will not be applied to Britain, and at the same time Britain will be losing its free market, open market with the European Union. But however, what are the levels of engagement between European Union and Britain has to be clearly determined after this exit procedure gets completed. So in this scenario, what is the impact of the on the Indian business? So any business, it prefers for a wider market. And the second thing is, it prefers for a seamless market and little restraint for the flow of labor and capital. So, a perfect functioning, a profitable business looks for least number of rules and regulations, seamless continuity of the workforce and also the business, wider markets, and another thing is a business needs stability and predictability. Now, more the Brexit discussions gets moves or gets delayed, then it raises the unpredictability. And the second thing is, as the market size is expected to shrink, it's going to worsen the prospects of the business. As the rules in the European Union and Britain are going to change, this seamless transfer is going to get affected. And the next one is, especially for the services industry, the transfer of the skilled manpower from one country to the other country is very critical. So in this scenario, for Indian IT sector, which is majorly stationed in UK for serving the Europe, is going to face a challenge. Because UK is not interested for liberalized norms of immigration. So, and visa regime is also getting tightened. So obviously, between the European Union and Britain, this relationship gets ended. The free movement between UK and European Union also gets lost. And the next is, because of all these changes, the pound is losing value. So now, here understand, previously 1 pound, let's take, I am giving a rough calculation, around 70 rupees. If one pound, it has become 60 rupees, what will happen to the businesses which are largely export oriented? Let's take IT sector. So it is making 1,000 pounds as a profit. Now it is supposed to make, same 1,000 pounds. Previously it was 70,000 rupees. Now it will reduce to 60,000 rupees. It means the balance sheets of Indian IT sector, which is largely export oriented, are going to go down. It means that their profits are going to come down. This is what is the concern expressed by the NASCOM. And coming to the manufacturing sector such as steel. So if you take Tata Steel already showing plans for exit, and many of the steel companies, they are facing the competition from China. So previously, when all these countries are in the European Union, there was a collective pressure which was imposed on China from the side of the European Union. If you see the G20 summit, EU chief has clearly stated to China that its aggressive pricing is creating or is making many of the countries jobless. So China has to take into consideration the sensitivities of the other countries. Such way, in all the international forums, these countries together are able to keep pressure on China. But is this possible now is the question. So these are the issues which are there in the Brexit. Citizenship on a divisive agenda. So now let us take this article, the Citizenship Amendment Bill. What the provisions of this? Any person who is a minority from Afghanistan, Pakistan and Bangladesh, he can, though he has immigrated illegally, he can apply for the citizenship and he will not be considered as an illegal immigrant to the country. Now understand, so it is not encouraging the immigration. So, but on the other side, it is providing for illegal immigrants and citizenship through the naturalization process. So, within 6 years, he can get the citizenship of India. Now, where the most of its impact will be? Now, if you observe in Assam, so I can divide the people into 3 categories. One is Assam natives, and the Bengal was divided in 1905. So after that, certain districts of the Bengal, they got united with the present Assam state. So Bengali speaking Indian population and then Hindu population are who are Bengali speaking and who are got migrated from Bangladesh, and Muslims who are Bengali speaking and got migrated from Bangladesh. Now here I can say that who are citizens of India, and among that Assamese speaking population and Bengali speaking population exists in Assam. Among the immigrants, Bengali speaking Hindus and Bengali speaking Muslims also exist. Now, if you have to differentiate between Bengali speaking population, it is almost impossible in Assam. So all of them have the similar cultural practices, though their religion is different. So as for the Assam Accord, so March 25th, 1971 is the date where these people who have come after that have to be deported back. So now, the Bengali speaking Hindus, they have got a remedy through this particular law. Now they can apply for the citizenship of India. But what about these Bengali speaking Muslims? So what about the Bangladeshi immigrants who are Muslims? They are still facing the chances of deportation. And the second thing is, it is only providing for the minorities. Now if you take Ahmadiyya sect in Muslims in Pakistan, they are also being discriminated about. What about their situation now? So is this law providing for any respite? So the government of India, how it will support its law? So now there are politics behind that. So now if you take the right-wing BJP, it says the politics of the country as like this. So the Hindus have to be voted as one single group rather than getting divided. If you take the communists, they want workers not to be divided. So if you take, BSP, you don't want the oppressed sections to be divided. So Hindu vote consolidation, is that a plan behind this? And there is a larger RSS agenda that India shall be a natural habitation for all Hindus. So these are the 2 political agendas the author talks about are the reasons for this bill. And to what extent it will stand to the judicial scrutiny is also a question. The wait for another day. So this article, this perspective, understand clearly at any point of time, historically, let's take the comparison. The age of consent bill for raising the marriage age when it was introduced by the British, as we oppose to the British, we oppose it to every government action. So it is a progressive move. Even the leaders such as Tilak have opposed to that because they oppose the government. Now, does the progressive moves which are initiated by the government need to be opposed now? Because rather than opposing the moves, we oppose the government today. So that is the logical question posed by the author. Now come to the front page. The council fixes 4-level GST rate structure. You know that goods and services tax structure. So what are the 4 slabs? 0% slab, 5% slab, and then 18% slab, 28% slab. These are the 4 slabs which we are having. Now, these are called sin goods or white goods, which are luxury items. Over that, the center is going to impose the cess. And this cess money will be used for compensating the states which are incurring the losses due to shift towards the GST. And then GST means one nation, one tax. Having these multiple rates, is it moving towards one rate, one tax, one nation? Now, the Arvind Panagaria, he has clarified that GST need not be one rate, one tax, one nation. It can be other way around. So it is applying one rate for one good across the country. It means that if you are joining the civil services coaching, the service tax will be 18% across the country wherever you go. And the next is, if you are buying a pencil, the tax will be 5% across the country wherever you go. Previously, the different taxes have existed across different states. Now, it is one rate for one good, one tax, one nation. That is what is the redefined status of GST. So, it is not one rate, one tax, one nation. It is one rate for one good and one tax and one nation. That is how it is being redefined as. Added to that, any change cannot be drastic. It has to happen sequentially or incrementally. That's what it is going to be in the GST too. The next one is, so let us talk about the business. The global situation not to blame for fall in exports. Out of 21 months, 20 months there is a fall in exports. Now here, is shrink in global demand is the reason? So now, if it is the reason, why the exports of Bangladesh and Vietnam are growing when the exports of India are decreasing? And in this, it is not the fall in export or fall in global demand is the reason for fall in our exports. India's export competitiveness is also very weak when we compare through the sector by sector. So the way forward is India has to improve its competitiveness. And there is an opportunity for India. The China is more focusing on creating the domestic demand. It means that it is no more will be an export driven growth in China. And the second thing is, it is shifting from low quality or low end manufacturing to high end manufacturing. So it means it wants to create a greater value addition. So this low end marketing, it is low end products, it is vacating. So then who has to occupy this? The major competitors for India are Vietnam, Bangladesh, etc. If you take textiles for that matter into consideration. So Southeast Asian nations and our South Asian peers, these are the competitors. So India has to devise a strategy where it has to occupy the space vacated by China, and this can only be possible through export competitiveness. For example, if a container has to be exported from India, the cost will be around $1,300. The same thing in the Cambodia or Vietnam, around $500 to $600. So there itself, the exporter is making a huge loss of $800 to $900. So improving the trade conditions, trade financing, removing restrictions on the labor laws, and providing for better land acquisition policy and seamless trade opportunities, and India entering into free trade agreements and joining the regional trading agreements such as RCEP, Trans-Pacific Partnership, etc., can provide for new avenues and opportunities for India's export growth. And industry voices concern over GST rate complexity. Already 4 slab rate was announced. It means that the one country, one tax regime is not going to come up. So multiple rates they are bringing the old system in a new form. That is what is the question raised by the industry. Now, let's take the news page. So Food Security Act is implemented. So now Kerala and Tamil Nadu are also on board with regard to the Food Security Act. So with this, all the states are implementing the National Food Security Act. Around 80 crores plus population are the beneficiaries of the Food Security Act now. And India opens IITs to the Nepal students. Already we have the open borders. Now Nepali students can take up the IIT entrance examination too. And then, so with regard to the one rank, one pension, so there are many politics going on around that. We don't need to get into that particular political issues. So these are the issues for discussion today. And a small announcement to make for you. So I am posting these videos on Insights, and Vinay is a good friend of mine, and we will be sharing some material, etc., with each other. So these videos he will be sharing, and I will be making some videos on questions and model answers. So, and the second thing is, the model answers and those questions will be provided on the civils prep itself. And the niche areas, I will be providing them on the civils prep channel. And the daily Hindu videos, they will be going to the Insights video channel. That's what is the understanding we reached. We want to create a win-win situation for both of us. And then, as many of the students are asking us for Yojana and Kurukshetra, we're also planning to bring in Yojana and Kurukshetra. Now, I'm preparing notes on my video so that once you watch the video and if you read the notes, you get the simplistic understanding of the topic. And then once in a week or once in a month, I will be consolidating all these notes in relation to the examination. And if I discuss the question and answers, how the value addition has to be made, that I will be explaining you over there. So in this, remember one thing, sustaining everything for free is a difficult task. So as if we want to increase the capabilities to do more work, probably we may be charging you something on other programs. It will be some 10-20 rupees. It will be more of a crowdfunding kind of thing. So, but with regard to the Hindu current affairs, we'll never be charging them. That's a promise. So with regard to the civils prep, the Yojana Kurukshetra, if we start them, we may be charging some 10 to 20 rupees or some minimal fees for each edition, so that you can take the video and also the simplified notes prepared on Yojana and Kurukshetra. So thank you very much and all the best. And added to that, I don't believe in giving something for free. But however, this thing, even I insisted, so I'm just continuing it for free. But however, this will continue as free for you.